Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year, 2026. Hard to believe. I hope everyone is well. It is Monday, January 12th. My gosh. Justin, can you please call attendance?
Joe Abdella? Here. Vicky Ceylon? Here. Stephanie Kolnick?
Here.
Jesse Liebman?
Here.
Angela Macirulo?
Here.
Alex McNaughton?
Here.
Justin Ongley here. Jen Pody?
Here.
Jane Sargent? Pete Tagley? Mary Weber? Here. And Christine Weidig.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment on agenda items only. Is there anybody here who would like to comment on agenda items? No? Okay. All right. The consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody would like changed? Or Alex?
One correction and one comment.
Okay.
On page 2, line 2, it says the prata. I think it's meant to be pro rata.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I was kidding about the goats trimming the bushes. And other than that, I found nothing to comment on.
Okay. So then,
Some folks really want the goats to trim the, just so you know, Alex, but it's not easy.
yeah, right. Can we make it a motion, have a motion to have a sense of humor? Please. So can we have a motion to,
I move to approve the minutes as altered, as corrected.
a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions? They are adopted. Thank you, Alex. Okay, presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know some board members were saying, where are the students if we're seeing student artwork? So let me tell you what's happening here today, and I think it's a really nice thing. And it's going to happen in full force at a board meeting maybe in a couple of weeks. But here's what's going on. Now, it's always a good time for board appreciation. It's always a good time for that. But Board Appreciation Month is technically in March. So normally you'd get the overture I'm about to describe now in March. The thing is, you're all going to get a calendar. I'll tell you about it in a minute. And the calendar starts in January. So we can't wait till March to give it to you. This to me is a nice story. I was approached. I did not solicit. Although I love the board enough that I would vigorously solicit, but I did not solicit this. I was approached by Linda McMillan and Donna Wright and their students, and they said, we want to do something for the board. We want to create a calendar of 2026, and each page has a piece of student artwork on it, right?
Oh, that's good.
So it was scheduled to be given to each of you tonight. The problem is the printing wasn't quite up to their exacting standards. There was some kind of technical problem. So they're having them redone. And I said, well, it's on the agenda now. Let me at least tell them what's happening and show them. They said, go ahead. I got this one sample here.
It's beautiful.
So probably in 2 weeks, they'll be back and to show you their appreciation and to explain why they did this. And
This is so beautiful.
yeah, and I hope you all hang it up somewhere and get a little pleasure out of
Oh
it.
On the
my gosh.
refrigerator, right
Yeah.
there.
What a thoughtful, beautiful gift.
Yeah, and they thought of it all on their own.
That is so nice. I love it. Now they're gonna have to do this every year.
Yeah, right, they're setting a standard.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really, really, really sweet. Thank you. That's really lovely. Okay, the developmental relationships survey. That's so thoughtful.
Hello, I think most of you know me. I'm Paula Conway. So I'm president of Spark Wellness. Just to give a quick overview of our organization, and then Mike's going to talk a little bit more about the developmental survey. So our mission is to promote self-advocacy, resilience, and connection in order to improve mental health, reduce substance misuse, and enhance quality of life. Essentially, we're kind of replacing like the DARE program of the past. Most of you are probably familiar with that. Some of our initiatives over the past year, last June, we held a community conversation with parents and community members just about social media, and we centered it around the Anxious Generation book. We're currently working on hosting a parent conversation about AI. Currently, we are collaborating with Chippewa administrators to work on reducing student vaping. We're doing this through dissemination of information to students, having pertinent staff trained on Stanford University's REACH Lab, their vaping curriculum, and hopefully bringing in a guest speaker from Yale. We're looking into that. One of our recent initiatives was to inform students on problem gambling. So we were at Hoops and Scoops, a rivalry night, and hosted Hoops and Scoops, where we just provided community members and students information on problem gambling. One of Western Connecticut Coalition's trained staff came in and talked to Spartan Club about that. It was a small group discussion, and there was a lot of positive feedback with that, and we're hoping to do that again with another group. So we have a lot of other things that we are hoping to do within the next year or two, but that kind of gives you a summary of some of the things that we're doing. So 2 years ago, we came here and asked permission to implement or to give students the Developmental Relationships Survey, which just provides some information to us on students' relationships with their peers, students, caregivers, and I'll let, Mike has more experience with that, so I'll let him talk about that.
Thanks, Paula. This is an excellent organization of volunteers that put grant funding to good use and certainly add a lot of value to our community. We did administer the Developmental Relationships Survey that is provided and analyzed by the Search Institute, and you have in your packet a sample of that survey. And so we're looking for approval of the same survey that we administered 2 years ago. That's going to give us some longitudinal information. We'll be able to see last year's or 2 years ago 6th graders as 8th graders. What are their responses and information about not only their relationships and their attitudes about school, academics, risk-taking behavior. There also are reports that, or aspects of the survey where students report anonymously, of course, on some specific risk-taking behavior that they engage in and their own views of the dangers of alcohol, of vaping, of marijuana, of other drugs, their perceptions of their parents' disapproval of those, their perception of their peers' approval or disapproval of all those risk-taking behaviors. And we use those on an ongoing basis with faculty and staff in trying to determine the best kind of programming and the way to focus our efforts to support students best. There are 2 additional modules in this survey that we're looking for approval of. That's the social emotional competencies. That includes items like I'm good at making friends, I share my thoughts and feelings with others in ways that are appropriate. And another module that we're looking for approval of is the culturally responsive environments. Like at my school, we learn how to work with people of different backgrounds. All people are treated fairly, no matter who they are. I'm encouraged to share my own culture and background, as well as experiences of bias and discrimination. And that just tells us what kids are feeling about their experience in our school and our community and how we can support them holistically. Often we fall into the trap of being responsive to individual challenges or problems, and there's a natural reactivity to that, but an instrument like this really helps us to be proactive and to view things broadly and to view our work proactively and not reacting to an idiosyncratic situation that we may be able to sort of explain away. But to see the broad brushstrokes of the children's experience and to plan to support and teach them. And this, we're looking to administer this with grades 6 to 12. It's really, really helpful to see how each of these the thoughts, experiences, and reports that they give, how they change or don't change across grade levels, across gender, and now across time, as we hopefully get the opportunity to do some longitudinal examination, and we can think about the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of our work over the last 2 years and how the children have changed and how we might adjust. Does anybody have any questions?
Have any of the students refused to take the survey?
If any of the students refused, so this was administered 2 years ago. We had students who were absent who didn't make up the survey. I know that, and we may have had I'm trying to remember, Mary. Forgive me. I think we may have had a small number, 2 to 4 students who just said, no, I don't want to do this. Don't quote me on it exactly. I know we're on the record here, but I think we may have had a very small number of students who opted out. And and parents get notification. I don't think we had any parents who opted out last time. Parents are notified. They're given the opportunity to come into the school and see all of the items and to opt their students out. I don't think we had any parents opt students out last time. I think we may have had a small number of students who declined.
Hi, thanks for the great update. Building off of what Paula, you said in terms of the event you did around the anxious generation, does any of the survey focus on social media or screen time devices, especially as more schools are trying to limit some of that, especially during the school day? Just curious how those might be connected.
That's an interesting question. I know that it's different from a lot of surveys that exist in that it really is focused on the assets. You know, so things like I have multiple friends that I can confide in, questions like that. You know, I'm just doing right now I'm in the document. I just did Control F social media, and I don't see anything right there. I'm going to do Control F device. I don't see that exactly. So, you know, the way that we might approach that is by looking at the items like, you know, I have friends that I can confide in. I have, one of the things we talk with students all the time about is expanding their social circle. You know, if your friend is sick, do you have people you can sit with or talk to? If somebody were to, you know, this would be rough, if they were to move away, do you have a broad circle? So the survey can give us information like that. I don't think it doesn't seem to, and I don't remember seeing in the past anything specific to those items. Those topics.
Would you consider it? I'm just thinking that raising awareness about the linkage between use of social media or gaming and isolation, it would be a good opportunity to raise awareness.
I think if it was available, I think we would add it. I don't think it's a question in the survey. I think maybe that's something we can give feedback to the Search Institute. I think, you know, the separate, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but, you know, we do ask, there are different modules, and we do ask about, like, the drug use, and they do provide that. I think they just updated it to include vaping in that. You know, it had tobacco, but yet most of the kids are not smoking or vaping. So I think just recently in the past, the 2 years ago, that was added. So I think, you know, in terms of the social media, I think people are now just starting to realize, like, that has an addictive quality just like those things. But I don't think the surveys have caught up to that. So I think if it was included, we would definitely put that in there. I think you had asked, and I don't think it's in the survey, but we can probably contact them and just let them know, like, this would be something to look into in the future. But like Mike said, just based on the questions that are there, we can kind of get a sense of what students are feeling and what they're kind of searching for in terms of their social emotional support.
Yeah, and just as you were talking, I thought to do Control F in the document gambling, and that's also not in there. So, they have their base set of items for this developmental relationship survey, and they have additional modules that they can add, or that we can add, and they're all, of course, studied and revised for reliability and validity, and so it is something that we can ask about, and they've been a pretty responsive organization, it seems, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were open to input.
Thank you.
I really like that you did a program on the gambling. I had gone to Matt about that subject a few years ago, especially apparently college students with gambling. It's a big problem. I would have never guessed. That's something that came up. My friend is a producer on CBS Sunday Morning, and he brought it to my attention. Make sure you watch this, and I did, and I was surprised. I knew nothing about that. So that is something that maybe the parents need to know about too, that they may not. And thank you for doing that. That's great.
I think what I'm finding as we go through this and learn more is some of the topics that we are trying to educate our students on, it may not be pertinent right now. Like Mike said, he doesn't know how many students are participating in sports gambling. Day trading is actually more popular. But you're right, the male college age students, it's a big issue, and we want to inform them now while we have them, because once they go to school, they're not forced to kind of sit in a class, or, they're not surrounded by the safety net they are here. So some of the topics I think that we're going to form them on, it's really to prepare them for once they leave here.
Sorry, just to clarify, did you say that social and emotional competencies were added this time, or is it the same survey that we did 2 years ago?
So it's the same survey with additional modules, and those modules are experience. I may have misspoken on the modules that were added. If you just give me a moment, I will be able to confirm which modules were added. Sorry about that.
No worries. And just to maybe get ahead of some clarification. I know it's 6th through 12th grade, but it shows like ages 8, 9, 10, and grades 4, 5, and just for anyone who might log on and take a look at our packet, just so they know that those ages and grades aren't included. I don't know if it's worth taking those out, but because certainly the questions wouldn't be relevant to that age group.
Right. Thank you. We will ask about that.
And then, sorry, one more follow-up. What kind of resources or what kind of things do we do after we get the survey back, things that we can do to implement afterwards? Like, was there specific programming you added after the last survey that was directly, coming from the responses that we got last time? Just wondering what kind of programming we would add in after we get the feedback.
Some of my notes from after we did the survey 2 years ago, I think was just like community building, education, informing parents. I think that's a huge, and that's why we're trying to be so involved with the school. Technically our group covers everyone, right? From birth to the end of life. But I think we have the most impact here at the middle high school level, where at least in terms of drug use, mental health awareness, those kinds of things, we can have a big impact here. And then we also have their parents on top of that we can reach out to. So I think after the survey, really trying to figure out, and we're still trying to figure out those things, is trying to, educate the students in a way where it's there's a few things that we've tried and have not gotten student buy-in yet, so we're still working on some of that. But then to try to get the parents to become more involved. And so we're kind of figuring that out, but I think it's trying to build like that community, which is challenging. I think we lost a lot of that like after COVID, so trying to kind of build that up and communication, community, if we're on the same page in regards to drug use, social media, our mental health, then we can have a big impact across Region 12. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, and as a school, there's really 3 areas where we can make adjustments. One of them is, at least 3 areas. One of them is in advisory programming, so very often we're going to look at, we do a survey like this and we're required to present that to the board because an outside organization is helping us, but our counselors also are asking students questions often, like wellness checks, and we're getting input from the students on matters like this. And so advisory is a place where we can tailor individual lessons. Like, we learned this recently, and so next month we have an advisory. We're going to adjust the lesson so it addresses X or Y. Advisory is one big place. School-wide programming, so like our assemblies very often are spurred on by information like this. And also curriculum. We have been looking closely at the 2022 vaping data. We're really interested in what the 2024 vaping data we've been looking at. We're really interested in what the 2026 vaping data says. We were in conversations just in the last week about checking on our 7th grade health curriculum and our Health 1 and Health 2 high school curriculum to make sure that we feel good about the vaping content that's in there. And that's really driven forward by what we see in these surveys. But it's not just that, responding to negative things. It's also, students tell us a lot in these surveys about how much they value school, about how they perceive their families view school. And so we kind of get a sense of what sorts of messages we need to lean into, and it prevents us from making some assumptions that we might otherwise make. And the advisory programming and the school-wide assembly programming are a couple of places to do that. Even the Link Crew program at the 9th grade level is something that is aimed at bolstering these developmental assets.
Thank you for organizing all of this. From 2 years ago, did you ever release a report or a summary of findings, or is that something that you're going to do only longitudinally after this survey goes out?
I mean, I think after we did it, we did come to a Board of Ed meeting and we talked about
Okay.
the results. Yeah, so we'll plan on doing that again. I think based on, this is last year's survey, we got the results. We did the survey in February. We got the results back in April. So it would be towards the end of the school year that after we look through the information and can come back and share what we found.
Yeah. And just to correct an error that I made earlier, the new measures that we're hoping for approval of are the internal assets and the sparks. So the internal assets are, well, you can see the items, but the sparks are statements of what motivates and interests students, and the internal assets are I enjoy reading or being read to. I care about school. I do my homework. I enjoy learning.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you both very much. Okay, moving on to reports and recognition. To the board report, which I have. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and was able to spend time with your family and friends, and hopefully got some much needed rest. I know there was a lot of wonderful flu and viruses going around, so hopefully nobody got them. And if you did, hopefully you didn't get it too bad, or I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it, so let's just... Anyway, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the high school choir for once again making the annual Washington Senior Center holiday party so special. Each year, they travel to Spring Hill by bus to perform for more than 70 attendees. They're amazing, and their performance is truly the highlight every year, and it just is so special. And a special thank you to Beth Harvison for making it happen. This year in particular was difficult for her to manage, and she just made it happen. So I appreciate her special effort and dedication. So a special shout out to Beth. And as we all know, we're heading into budget season, which comes with additional meetings, which can feel taxing. I encourage everyone to attend the meetings and understand the budget and come with questions. It's important that we help educate our communities with accurate information. This tends to be the time of year where people tend to come up with their own stories of misinformation. So if we don't know an answer, please, I encourage us all to seek out the correct information so that we can support our neighbors, friends, and community members. This is where the rubber meets the road. So misinformation can easily spread, and it's our responsibility to ensure that we correct the information that's being shared. And as always, please feel free to reach out with any ideas or questions or concerns. So as we move deeper into the budget process, we really make sure that we can try to find a way to spread the real information. And obviously, we know that it's a difficult time for Nicole and for Don because they are going to be very busy. So not that we want to add more to their plate, but I much prefer reaching out to them to get the right information so that we can share that information versus just trying to wing it. So that's what we need to do. Yeah, Mary.
I expect that we're going to get some flyers that are going to be sent out to the Washington residents.
Yeah.
And there's going to be much misinformation as before.
Yeah.
And so how should we handle that? Should we bring it to light and bring it to a meeting and address it?
So that's kind of where my head is right now. So that's I'm just dipping my toes in a little bit. So that's my first initial thought is not to respond on social media. That's kind of what I'm thinking initially for myself, is not to go there, because I think that I've gotten myself stuck there, and that never works out in my favor. So not to do that. And I think that if we get flyers or mailers, I think that we need to bring them to Don and to Nicole so we can dissect it and then kind of come back with, and then we'll decide how to handle it from there. So if we get flyers and bring them to myself, and then we can all sit down with Nicole and Don and then decide how we're gonna.
Okay.
Then we'll make a decision how we're gonna handle that.
Because I know it's going to happen, so I figured.
It will,
let's
and
a-
I think-
I figured I'd ask you about it now.
No, and I'm glad that you did, Mary. I think that we just have to decide collectively the best way to handle that. And I don't know how that is, and I think we can all collectively decide the best way to handle that. But I think the best way is to be smart and not to be reactive. I say that mostly for myself too. And then to just be thoughtful and make sure that the information that we are giving is accurate and be slow about it, but be cautiously.
I had preferred that it come from the board and from Don and from Nicole.
Yeah.
Rather than to address it personally.
100%.
Because I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
don't want to get stuck with
No,
talking to
I
people.
think-
Unless they're real people that I know are
Yeah.
concerned about something
And
that's
I think
different.
and I think it needs to just be, I think it needs to be from, so we'll get the answer that we need. It will be from the board or from the region, and we'll figure out a way.
Yeah, because I really don't want anyone to be attacked for our budget.
No.
Which I foresee.
No, and I think we just need to make sure that we're not, being reactive about it. But thank you for asking that. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so for my report, first of all, you'll notice in the Friday update that we were lucky enough to secure Joe's services to help us with a tile job around the pool, which I think is wonderful. We're lucky that he's willing to help us on a job that wouldn't otherwise probably hold his attention. We have high standards of transparency, though. That's why I notified the board. And that work will proceed, and that'll be good because we need to get it done. The rest of my report tonight is on personnel. We have some new appointments. Sarah Fay is coming on as, the title is orchestra director. We don't say we have a pit orchestra anymore in the spring musical. She will be directing the students musically and teaching them how to sing the book and sing the parts. So she's a music director for the spring musical. Frizo Hermans has been a long-term substitute teacher at Chippewa Valley. Lisa Holmes, long-term special ed teacher at our private schools. Zosia Olizhanek is the agri-science operations assistant on the weekends. Same with Jacob Sampson, who is an alum of Chippewa. And Kristen Sizer is now administrative assistant to the director of special services over at central office. And then we had some resignations. We had Quinn Bolak, who was a paraeducator at Chippewa, effective December 29th, resigned. And Sophia Ryan's a paraeducator at Chippewa, resigned effective January 15th. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Treasurer's report, Alex.
What I'd like to do is postpone my treasurer's report and wrap it in with the F&O report later in the meeting.
Okay. Moving on to committee reports, agri-science, Mary.
I have no report. We haven't met since the last
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you. Curriculum, Justin? It's okay.
I was just getting the date for the next meeting. Nothing new. Our next meeting is February 9th.
Okay, thank you. At Advance, Joe?
We had a Zoom meeting for the Board of Directors this past Thursday, January 8th. During this meeting, we approved a non-federal share waiver, an oversight screener, and a health safety screener for the Head Start program, which has some shortfalls. We also saw a presentation on the Ed Advance school climate policy, which they are working on implementing. There are two possible buyers for the workspace property, but they have not secured a contract yet, and one of the buyers is looking to give a donation as well as the asking price because they had dropped the price to try and get a quicker sale. There's still no update on the state funding for the federal shortfall in paying the mental health professionals. That funding was supposed to be around $829,000. I don't know if that will come from the state completely. There is still some federal funding on its way, but it's a very small amount. Also, Eversource has approved the applications for their EV charging stations. All the equipment is ordered and hopefully will be in by March. And that's what I have.
Thanks, Joe. Labor negotiations.
Wait a minute, you skipped me.
Oh, sorry, Alex. I don't know what's wrong with me. Finance and operations, Alex.
Yes, well, it's been 5 weeks since we met, and obviously we were all taking a little time off. Nicole, I'll ask you to correct me if anything I get wrong here. As of December 31st, our budget is, our expenses with encumbrances already taken out, we are at 17.21% left versus 17.67% left last year. Now, the only difference is this year we paid some of our debt service earlier. Therefore, we really are further ahead than 17.21%. So it looks like we're in pretty good position right now. As Joe mentioned, there were federal grants that were meant to go for 5 years that have been cut off here after 2.5 years for special support staff and special needs people As you can see from Don's report of the resignations, it's my understanding that those are directly related to that. Is that correct?
Say again, Alex, I'm sorry.
The funding is the reason we lost these two people. We don't have the federal funding anymore.
No, those are separate issues. These are two people who resigned. What Alex is talking about is still important. We had gotten some counselors from Ed Advance through a federal grant. That federal funding was pulled. As you know, there's a lot going on in Washington these days, and so Ed Advance wasn't able to continue placing those counselors here. So we lost those two counselors who we had gotten through Ed Advance grants. The personnel that I mentioned are separate. They're just
Okay.
folks who are paraprofessionals who decided to move on.
Okay. Apologize for the confusion there. Boilers in Washington Primary. One is in and complete and working. The other one should be finished by Tuesday, and then by Friday, after they do the hookup to the monitoring system so that it can be monitored, the second one should be in place and functioning. Just as kudos to Don, he had looked out to the possibility of renting a boiler if need be. In the interim, it was going to be $9,000 a week, but he did not need to pull the trigger on that, and we are in good shape. Money going back to the towns, $684,108. This is divided pro rata based on the October numbers a year before. We made a mistake, or 2 years before. We made a mistake last year and did it numbers based on 1 year before. We're going to do it's about a $15,000 error. We're going to make up the difference this year by adding or subtracting a little money from what people are getting. Don and Nicole have come up with a 5-year plan. It's very extensive. Also,
It's a 10-year plan.
I'm sorry, the 10-year plan, and I've got 10-year written in front of me. The main change is going to be is that rather than do each of the elementary schools piecemeal, do all the floors, do all the ceilings, we're going to probably focus on doing the complete job at one of the elementary schools every 2 years. That way, there's no having people have to transfer from one site to a next site. They can continue and get the job done. It will probably mean during those times that students will have to be reassigned in the interim for the year that their school is being worked on. The budget timeline was presented. We are going to be working on a preliminary budget, which will be presented to the board, and after that, it will be presented to the 3 towns. While the budget is pretty solid, it's not set in stone, so that if we have comments or someone comes in with a better idea on something, we can change it. Couple of small things. One, in Burnham, the gate is going up back behind the parking lot on Tuesday, not tomorrow, a week from tomorrow. And finally, there was discussion about the banners in the gymnasium, and they're looking pretty ratty, and we've decided to look at trying to update the system and make our banners more present better. I am open for any comments or questions anybody has. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Labor negotiations now.
I wasn't here at the last meeting. Did you present anything?
No, tonight, we're going to go into executive session and seek discussion and hopefully ratification of the agreement.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So nothing new.
Great. Policy?
Nothing new. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 23rd of February.
Thank you. And Long Range Planning Committee, we are meeting on the 26th of January. So that is it. Old business to consider for approval, second reading of policy 4152.6, family and medical leave.
Yes, and of course, as we said, this updates the FMLA, and particularly the two big changes. It just modernizes it to bring it into line, as we said, with the current statute. The two biggest changes were benefits that accrue now to non-certified staff regarding Connecticut's version of the FMLA. So this policy updates those things along with a few definitions. I included a summary sheet in a few of the last Friday updates. The policy, the version that's in front of the board now, the red line version, is what Shipman has drafted to be in line with current law. Are there any questions about the policy?
But I'd like to thank you for breaking it down for us, because it was an onerous job. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion to approve 4152.6? Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Abstentions? It passes for second reading. Thank you. Great. New business. Consider for, and if appropriate, approve the 2026-2027, yikes, school calendar.
I have a question about the school calendar. This year, our spring break did not coincide with the spring breaks of other districts around us. We are a week later than other districts. When making this calendar for next year, was that put into consideration?
Yeah, that's always frustrating, Vicki, for families if you're a teacher and your kids go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And there isn't sadly any great one-state consortium of people that get together and decide when they're going to do that. And you often find that if it's like a game of whack-a-mole, if you change it this week off, some people win and some people lose in terms of how it lines up. And so, if there were some statewide agreement that schools would all do this spring break, it might make it better. I know that it's always a source of some aggravation, but I don't know that there's a magic bullet to fix that.
Okay.
So the draft you have in front of you is, Mary, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just to piggyback back on that, how about the sending towns? Are we in line with them?
Correct. That was one of my points, because Danbury is off the week before us.
Right.
So that's where some people have expressed their concerns.
Didn't mean to interrupt you there. This calendar is substantially the same as the prior calendar, so it's probably designed, to my knowledge, to make sure that we line up with as many of the sending districts as possible. It's not satisfying, though, for you, to the Danbury kids to say that, and I get that. And I wish there was a way to make it align perfectly.
Does that usually happen?
I'm thinking
that
back
happen
in my
last
time.
year?
as a
No, in the past years, we have been off the same week, and it just so happened this year, we have 2 different weeks. So you have kids down there,
Yeah. Did they change theirs, do you know?
No.
They didn't. Okay.
I'm looking at last year's calendar, and it looks like it's pretty much matched up to this year's proposed calendar.
Yeah, so typically we try to make sure that we align with just as many of those sending districts as we can. I can go back and make sure that that's true and find out, whether there'd be some benefit to realigning with the Danbury week if it doesn't hurt us relative to anybody else. So this is something that maybe I could do before the board goes ahead and approves it. Would the board be interested in that?
Well, I just think for the families of the sending students, I think it's important to align. I mean, how many students do we have coming up from Danbury?
Well, there's a sizable amount.
Correct.
But then think about the other 7 sending towns and,
True.
and
That's why I was wondering if you have all, gotten together and spoken and aligned this, because that would be
yeah, I think
a
that.
good thing. That would make, thank you, that would
I
make
think this
sense.
incarnation of the calendar, like at its inception, was designed to make sure that it maximized the number of sending towns we synced with, although not maybe every single one of them. So you could change it to align with this town, and then you'd be out of sync with that one.
Correct.
I'll double check to make sure that it is maximized in the way that I thought it was based upon last year's construction, yeah.
Thank you.
And then also attached is, hold on, I guess I'm going ahead one agenda item here, but it's in the same. Also attached is the board meeting schedule, which again is substantially similar in terms of the timing and the breakdown of the meetings to what we've seen in the past years.
What do you mean?
I don't see that, John.
What do you mean? It was in the packet. What do you mean?
You want to take a look at a hard copy, Angela, that I have right here?
I have it, it's right here.
No, I don't have it on my, in the packet.
It's
don't think
board
Vicki has it.
copy. What do you mean?
I can't find it, but I do remember seeing it.
It's right here. I have it. I have it. Are you?
Don, sorry, just a question going back to the school calendar.
Yes.
Is it always the case that that the school calendar starts the last week of August? Or is it related to Labor Day? I see this year there's actually 2 weeks of school before Labor Day. I was imagining there was 1 week of school before Labor Day.
Part of that is teacher professional development.
Okay.
So the symbols are really confusing on the calendar. You see the boxes around the days the week prior, those are at the end of August.
The 25th.
Okay, the 25th is the first day back. The way the calendar falls, that first Tuesday is usually the days the kids come back, the last Tuesday that occurs at the end of August.
The last Tuesday in
Yeah,
August. Okay.
and that lets us get through to the point where, if we don't have a lot of snow days, we end the year somewhere around June 8th or June 9th.
Okay.
So we start maybe a little, I'm from New Jersey, so they all go back after Labor Day there. I don't know if we start a little earlier than some, but we also get out a little earlier than some because of that.
Okay, and second question is just about the winter vacation, starting with the half-day on the 23rd of December. I don't know how many people travel for the holidays, but at least as it was this year, there was, I think, a slow, either because of the flu going around or because of travel plans, there was just a slow, decline in class numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to remedy that because giving too much of a break, et cetera, but it does strike me that people will be leaving town before the 24th if they're traveling for the holidays.
You always get a little bit of people who want to get off early, and that can impact attendance those last, the last minutes before the break. The typical formula is that the day before Christmas Eve becomes a half-day. That's usually what happens, and
Is it? Okay.
that's what you see here. And if students or families have special travel plans or other things going on, teachers, work with them on that. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if this is the right place to ask it, because this really is a little less to do with the academic calendar and maybe a little bit more to do with our after-school and extracurriculars. We had a light discussion about thinking about being inclusive of some of the other, major religious holidays. And even if those don't align and it doesn't work out for the calendar and the days of school, it is also hard for those families when they have, religious activities to go to after school. We'll get them into school, but then to be missing out on all of their sports and extracurriculars afterwards. I don't know if there's a way to align that with what would be, I guess, Karachi's
Couple of thoughts. First of all, and this is not an answer for now, but hopefully for next year, I actually had a care and a thought to try to add the 2 big Jewish holidays, the fall ones, as days off for everybody, because I think that's the respectful thing to start doing. And I thought we might even do it in this incarnation of the calendar. I have a little bit of work to do, it turns out, in terms of how holidays are in or not in certain union contracts and other things that would, other domino effects that kind of surprised me being I guess a noob at calendar construction a little bit. But I think I know how to get it going now, and I look for that in some years soon, probably next year, number one. And then when we look at evening events, like for example, let's start with us. We took a look at the board and committee meeting schedule and made sure that there were none that were happening on those days. And then I do work with the athletic director and clubs and activities people in our schools to try to make sure that they don't schedule events on those days. Sometimes the athletic league is more brutal than I'd like, and they have this sort of, it's a brute fact that they do these things, and then we either miss them or not. When we're in control of it, I do ask that we're respectful of that. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I understand there's like a union impact, and so like I'm even maybe less concerned with the academic calendar, but more with like then all those after-school things that you do miss as well. So if there's any kind of wiggle room to just try to align those calendars, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just
And
throwing
on,
out there as
and on a major holiday, we would always say, teachers not to be giving big homework or assignments over major religious holidays or
Right.
other similar holidays as well.
Thanks, Don.
Yes. So the two things in front of you, I think we said, I'm going to just do one more crosswalk between our vacation schedule and all the sending towns to make sure we've got the optimum efficiency for as many kids as possible. I'll put that information out in a Friday update, and then we'll come back and talk more, if that's okay with you,
Yeah.
Jennifer. And then I guess you've got the board meeting schedule in front of you right now.
Do you want me to wait to approve both,
You
all
can,
of it?
you can,
Because
yeah.
then I don't know if we're gonna, this
Yeah.
will be affected. So we'll hold off on approving these until, okay. Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session? Right?
Motion?
Are we inviting Nicole? in?
Yes.
And we need a motion to have Nicole Granton? Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. An executive, do I need a time for executive session? Perfect, okay.
Let's hope we're not locked out of that room. If we are, I'll call it.
Are we going here?
I think so. Yes, please, all right. So can we have a motion, Alex?
Which one, a motion for which?
For the only one?
SB, it's
For the
right
el-
here, it's written down.
It's written down. So it is,
Consider and if appropriate,
yes, please.
Educators Association Union Agreement.
Oh, you need a microphone for the level.
Start over.
Okay. I make a motion to ratify the Chippewa Valley Educators Association Union Agreement dated July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Abstentions? It passes. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying. Oh, no, wait.
we gotta do this thing.
Oh, geez,
I
okay.
don't know what you call it.
The unaffiliated, okay, this one here. Consider and if appropriate, right? The number 2, ratify,
No, that's the one I just did, number 2.
number 2 you did. Number 1. Can I have a motion for number 1?
Well, except we need to
No, I
put
know
the
she's
numbers
gonna-
out to show what we're
No, all you have
making a
to say
motion
is this.
of.
A motion to approve the unaffiliated staff increases for the 2026-2027 budget.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions? It passes. Adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
We don't need to do